What's up, guys? It is I, RGT85. We have a lot of gaming news to talk about, so we're going to skip the long-winded intro. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and be sure to turn on notifications. But let's just jump into what's going on in the world of video games. We are going to start things off with Metroid Dread. Now, Metroid Dread was probably one of the biggest surprises of E3. There had been rumors, of course, of a new 2D Metroid game potentially coming to the Nintendo Switch, but the Metroid Dread name actually holds a lot of weight to it. This game was originally sort of talked about back in the Nintendo DS era. Now, there was supposed to be a new 2D Metroid game that was coming to the Nintendo DS alongside of games like Metroid Prime Hunters and Metroid Prime Pinball. IGN was covering it very heavily, and then, of course, it never came to fruition. It has been 19 years since we've gotten a new 2D Metroid game, and Metroid Dread was definitely a very welcome surprise during Nintendo's E3 presentation. Arguably, one of the biggest surprises from the event. Now, of course, a lot of people label me as a Metroid hater because I like to bring up the fact that, hey, Metroid doesn't sell all that great, but I think it's a conversation worth having because when you look at Metroid sales statistically, they don't sell all that great. And this game, I feel like, has a chance because it's on the Nintendo Switch and a lot of games sell well. But I actually made a bet with the Spawncast that if Metroid Dread sells over 3 million copies in its first year, I will actually play Balan Wonderworld and give you guys my thoughts on it because I just refuse to play that game. Damn you, Yuji Naka. Damn you, damn you! Now, there's been some debate over the $60 price tag for a 2D Metroid game. It's something we'll talk about in the upcoming days on the channel because there's a lot more that I want to talk about with Metroid Dread, but I think the game looks awesome. I love the fact that it plays a bit more like Alien with a creature chasing you and various creatures chasing you. It really adds to that tension and sense of dread that I feel like some Metroid games have lost along the way. Well, when Nintendo announced this game, they also announced a collector's edition of this game, and surprise, surprise, everyone all of a sudden is a huge Metroid fan because these collector's editions went up on various websites, Target, Walmart, GameStop, Best Buy, and they were sold out within seconds. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Metroid does not sell all that great. So who is buying up all of these things? Well, of course, it's scalpers. If you go over to eBay right now, you could see this absolutely disgusting display of highly priced Metroid Dread collector's editions going for over $200 right now. Now, luckily, I was able to get one off of GameStop's website, but it was because I was literally sitting at my computer going out of my way to try and get this collector's edition because I knew people were going to do something like this. I just didn't think it would be at this sort of level. I'm going to be realistic with you guys. Sometimes I understand scalping because it is sort of a free market, but if you are buying up these Metroid Dreads with a bot and then scalping them on eBay, your mother should have swallowed you. I mean, that's really what this boils down to because you're taking away something from actual Metroid fans. Metroid fans have not gotten a bone thrown to them in a very long time, and I am a Metroid fan, so I was looking forward to this, and the fact that it was so hard to get this collector's edition, and now a lot of people are presuming that there's not going to be any more of these collector's edition and it's all on the secondary market. Maybe there'll be some more restocks of it, but I highly doubt it because it's a collector's edition. Like, this is just so ridiculous, and it always seems to be worse with Nintendo stuff. Within seconds, this was sold out on all of these websites, and it's just absolutely ridiculous because you didn't support Metroid back in the day. That's the reason why a Metroid game has never sold over 3 million copies, but now all of a sudden you're a huge Metroid fan. I'm sure it has absolutely nothing to do with your wallet. I don't know. Things like this just anger me. So if you manage to get a Metroid Dread collector's edition, you are a very lucky individual. I consider myself to be very lucky that I was able to get one off of GameStop because I literally just sat at my computer refreshing all these websites, checking Twitter, but it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that people out there are doing this because it's taking away from the actual Metroid fans. Next up, Xbox made a very interesting announcement about the future of their consoles. Now, once again, Xbox, I thought, had a great E3 presentation. There was new game announcements, there was updates on games. Halo Infinite multiplayer looks absolutely awesome. I cannot wait to jump into that. A lot of games were shown at Xbox's E3 presentation. A great presentation in terms of pacing. There wasn't a lot of talking and stuff. I definitely really enjoyed Xbox's E3 presentation. Well, Xbox, of course, had some big surprises with their E3 presentation as well, with games like Starfield getting a concrete release date and of course being an Xbox Series X exclusive. Well, since that original announcement, something very interesting has happened that we've never seen anything like this in the world of video games, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this ends up playing out and how long this ends up getting supported by Xbox, because Xbox made an announcement that Xbox Series X games such as Starfield will be coming to the Xbox One via xCloud. So you'll be able to stream these new games that are designed with the Xbox Series X in mind and only released for the Xbox Series X on your Xbox One via the xCloud service, which of course is something that has been picking up steam. Now, I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this, being able to play next generation games on a previous generation console via the cloud service. Of course, there's going to be a lot of games coming out for the Xbox Series X that will not be coming out on the Xbox One. Games like, of course, Hellblade 2, like that game's not going to come out natively on the Xbox One, but there will be a cloud version of the game to check out if you are an xCloud member. I think this is going to be very interesting for the future of Xbox. We've seen Xbox doing some absolutely crazy things lately. They're trying to integrate into TVs as well, to where you'll just need a controller in order to play Xbox Series X games, and it'll be integrated into your TV, and then you can stream it directly from your television and just play with a controller. It really seems like Xbox is trying to break away from the traditional home console thing, and I think it's a weird decision, but I think it's a decision that might end up paying off for them in the long run if this is the way that the video game industry shifts. We've heard about cloud services being the future of gaming. So far, it really hasn't proven to be that case quite yet, but as time goes on and technology advances, I think this is something that could be very viable for the Xbox brand. So yeah, if you want to play Starfield on your Xbox One in 2022, you will be able to via xCloud service. Now, of course, there is some sort of concerns about input lag and latency with these xCloud service, but if they're able to manage it and they're able to sort of nail this service on the Xbox One, maybe it's worth keeping your Xbox One and not quite upgrading to the Xbox Series X yet, if of course you can't get your hands on one or you just can't afford it. Let me know what you think of Xbox's interesting strategy in the comments section down below. And finally, we have a very big feature that might be coming to the Nintendo Switch that, well, is long overdue, but now a lot of people are talking about this story. Now, this was actually introduced more so on the business side of things. It was actually talked about during E3, so a lot of people were focused more so on the video game side of things, but I think this would be a welcome addition to the system, and like I said, something that is well long overdue for the Nintendo Switch, and it involves a service called Next Streaming. Now, so a service called Next Streaming essentially put out a press release saying that their latest player SDK, the Nintendo Switch SDK, is available, and it will be the first player to enable video streaming for the Nintendo Switch. Next Player and Nintendo have joined forces to port the popular Next Player SDK into the Nintendo Switch, making possible HLS and dash streaming inside Nintendo Switch apps. OTT providers will be able to offer their live and video on demand services to almost 80 million users worldwide, and gaming publishers will be able to include existing video content inside of their Nintendo Switch games. Next Player for the Nintendo Switch comes with the same premium support for Next Player SDK and is very easy to integrate into any application. And then the CEO of the company, Carlos Lucas, went on to say, "Our role in the industry is to enable the most advanced video services for the largest number of devices. Adding the Nintendo Switch to our list of supported platforms is aligned with this strategy. Nintendo support has been key for this achievement. We hope our customers start maximizing the usage of this technology very soon." So basically, video services, video streaming services could be coming to the Nintendo Switch, and that's something that I feel is long overdue on the system. Of course, you do have things like Hulu and, of course, YouTube on there, but this seems to be allowing for a wider plethora of different streaming devices and video on demand devices to come to the Nintendo Switch with higher quality and easier for companies to put their things on the Nintendo Switch should they want to put their video services on the platform. Of course, this will also be integrated into games as well, so I think this is a big thing for the Nintendo Switch. Now, of course, it really comes down to which companies are going to use this on the system. I hope a lot of companies do use this, because things like, more features, more apps, more video services on the system would be a very good thing in my opinion. You should really have these sort of things on the Nintendo Switch already, and if Next Streaming allows for it to be done easier and integrated right into the Nintendo Switch so that developers can look at this and say, oh, okay, now it's super easy, this is a big win in my opinion. I'm really interested to see which companies get on board with this. I'm really interested to see what sort of integration we see with this, but this to be available on the Nintendo Switch is a big deal in my opinion. Now, some people are sort of reading this as a new Nintendo Switch SDK, so is it about a new Nintendo Switch Pro? We're not going to go down that rabbit hole, because I'm looking at this from just the clear perspective of what has been talked about in this press release, and really that's all I'm taking away from this. I don't think this has anything to do with the Nintendo Switch revision, but maybe you do think that, and if you do, that's cool. I'm not here to argue with you, but I think this is a big win for Nintendo, and it'll be very interesting to see what sort of services are integrated into your Nintendo Switch very soon. Alright, so that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to let me know what you think of everything in the the comments section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Check out other videos on the channel as well. Big eShop sale going on right now. Make sure you guys take advantage of those sales. Check out the video I made yesterday on that. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.